You own a business, and you've owned it for a while, maybe years. Like many business owners, you thought by now things would be easier. Instead, you've reached a point where it seems like everything about your business seems harder. You have less time, less energy, less profit. You may have fallen into what we call the owner's trap. We're going to learn more about the owner's trap and show you how to create the ultimate value for your business when we come back.
Create a stronger and more dynamic business. Larry Courtcamp, founding partner at the Courtcamp Group, talks with industry insiders about trending topics moving the needle for local business today. Here's your host, Larry Courtcamp.
My good friend Craig Cowles is back with me today. Craig is founder and CEO of Entrecraft. He is a certified financial planner and he is a certified value builder. Craig, thanks for coming back today.
Thanks for having me, Larry.
Big discussion, and I just want to warn the audience ahead of time. Those of you that are watching us on your Rumble channel or a video, Craig's actually brought some visual aids for us today. But
we'll talk through those. We'll make it through it.
I was going to say, for those of us who are listening to us on Spotify, iHeart, one of the other audio channels, we'll make sure it's very clear to you at the same time. So
thank you. Okay.
This is a big subject. It's kind of a teaser out there in the industry. When you say you own a business, do you own a business or do you own a job, right? We're trying to help create businesses for owners that they don't have to live at as much as they do, and that's where you and your business Entrecraft. So how do you want to start this off today?
Well, I'll just lead off from where you talked about. What you want to own a business or you want to own a job, right? The main difference, if you go back to Michael Gerber's The E-Myth book, he talks about it. You want to be the pie maker or do you want to manufacture the pies and sell them? A lot of mistakes that business owners make is that how to grow the business. Well, if you constantly put yourself in the owner's trap, and we'll talk about that on a slide, is when you become the center or hub and spoke of everything in your operation, and you constantly have to be the person that makes the decisions. In that respect, you end up in a trap where you can't get out of it because everybody relies on you to make all the decisions. That's why you end up owning your job. Even if you hire talent, that talent is not going to be able to understand or know your vision because it's all kept in your head. And it's one of the biggest reasons why businesses have struggle in growth is because the owner does not take the time that they need to work on their business.
Okay, and we've talked about this obviously a lot because it's a plague that affects a lot of business owners, really at a lot of different levels too. And people always think it's just the simple entrepreneur that starts out, but it really does affect businesses at all sizes.
Correct.
And all levels. They're not immune from the same issues. So I know you brought some visual aids with you today.
We can talk about those. Let's start. I figure we start with those. So one of the first things we looked at. So this is during pre-COVID and post-COVID. These slides are actual surveys with almost 10,000 business owners surveyed that are currently business owners in the current environment. So this may be just like your audience listeners that may be business owners that need to understand where they stand with everybody else, with their thinking process. So the questions were talking about selling your business when you sell your business at some point. Now, you may not be at that point. You may be thinking it's a thing I need to be thinking about, or no, I'm ready to go. This is something that's going to happen in the next couple of years. So you sell your business to a third party. There's a shutting down your business, transitioning the business to family, and the next generation of people within your organization. And
I'm going to pause you real quick at this point because we kind of led off with selling your business, but you and I have talked about this a lot.
Yes.
And we have a mutual friend that does it for his business life, right? And whether your company is being prepared to sell or not, you always need to run your business as if, because the things that a potential buyer is going to look for are exactly the things that are going to make your business run effectively, efficiently, and make you more profit. Because that's what the buyer's looking for. They're looking for a venture that's going to fulfill all those needs for them, and maybe be looking to purchase it as a non-participant in the daily activities. So,
well, think about this for a second, Larry. Remember, there's 4 reasons that people sell a business, or 4 events that happen. We call it the 4 Ds from the planning world. It's called the departure of a business owner or the partner. It's the death of one of the owners. It is maybe potentially a divorce of a family member or something like that. And the other one is disability. All these things will trigger an event in the business to cause it to be sold. So when you're looking at the numbers, it could be at any time, from tomorrow to when you decide to leave your business. It's irrelevant of when it happens, but the question that I always ask people is, when are you going to die? And they say, I don't know. Well, you know when you were born, so tell me when you're going to die. And people say, oh, I don't know the answer to that question. And they said, okay, that's the reason why planning becomes so paramount. So we took it and looked at the business owners. Right now, as it stands with the slides that we're showing, is that there's a great amount of increase in the number of business owners that want to sell to a third party. That's the first thing we discovered in the survey.
So they're not giving it to the kids. They're not selling it. Are they selling it trying to sell it to the employees, or is this a
that's
wholly
decreased? Yeah, it's a wholly. Yeah, that's completely changed now.
Yeah.
And there may be a little bit of fear inside of that, but what we found is now two things. One is they want to sell to a third party more. It's more gravitating towards that. And in the next slide we show it's within 2 to 5 years it's increased. So it used to be, I'm going to keep this for 10 years. And the next slide showing about a 5% increase of selling within the next 5 years from the original survey.
Why is that? How did we
I think people
move
have
from
been,
a 10-year outlook to a 5-year outlook?
I think COVID really had a lot to do with it. Supplier issues, employment issues. Look, business owners have set up their vision and purpose and mission before COVID. They had a whole game plan of sailing right through this whole, their life. A lot of them are probably the baby boomers and late Gen Xers or early Gen Xers are the business owners now. Now they're saying, wait a minute, this is not part of my plan. The whole COVID thing is not my business value. Maybe I should get out of this before something else happens. So they weren't prepared. It shows preparedness, right? They're working on your business instead of in it. Those could be the in business owners versus the ons who are still on track. The last one is the wealth definition as wealth has changed. And what we found is that before it used to be that they think, well, if I had $10 million or more, I'm considered wealthy and I can do what I want to, right? Now it's changed to having enough money to do whatever you want when you want, though that doesn't have a number on it. And the number one thing you have to understand is that it's not how much money you have, but it's how much money it generates over your lifetime.
Gotcha.
That's the mistake that most businesses have always made when they've decided to sell their business. How much is it going to get me? So that's why I think you're going to see more people saying, look, I will be happy if I can do this now. It's not going to be what I thought it was. Maybe that's why we're seeing the shift. But again, it creates a new problem. And that new problem is, are we going to sell businesses for less than the value than they should?
Traditionally, these business values, it seems to be kind of all over the board for some people, right? They don't really know truly how to value a business, which is part of the problem. We read an article, I'm a business owner, I read an article and it says ice cream shops are selling at 3 times the value. Oh boy,
right.
My eyes light up, right? And
The triple scoop on the business,
That's
right?
exactly
Gotcha.
right. So part of what I know you do in your business is how to properly manage or value that company for them. But what type of elements are we looking at to make this evaluation? How does a company go about?
Normally what happens is you use the EBITDA method, multiples of EBITDA, and then a comparable business in their industry or competitor or something like, what are they typically selling for? It has good and bad sides to it. One, the good side is roughly what you can guess what your business valuation would be and what you might be able to sell it for. The bad thing is what it takes to get to that number. And also there could be a lot of businesses that are underselling based on what the true value of the business is. Now, if you're under $1 million for any listeners in that market, it's your underseller's discretionary earnings or SDE. The other problem with business valuation is a lot of business owners, especially in the small business space, we find that do a lot of expensing on their own business, which actually lowers their EBITDA because they will buy something that they will expense on their business that may be personal, right?
Gosh,
or partial
we're all told
personal.
to.
Yeah.
That's
right,
the big
exactly.
slush fund for our business.
Yeah, it's a
right?
big slush fund. So you end up with like an earnings. It's like, oh yeah, we're 5% profit. I'm happy with that because I don't have to pay a lot of taxes. So there's the other problem. What about the tax formation inside of your business? What's that look like? Because one of the things I look at is what is the reason you're doing on your balance sheet, and what are you trying to avoid? And most of the time, it's about taxation. And that's the number one concern right now, business owners, is the taxation of the money. But when it comes to the sale, you're coming into the home plate of this. Well, you got to start at first base, which is 5 years before.
That's getting our eye off the ball of running our business, right?
Correct.
That I mean, obviously, that's why we're going to get people like you, and hopefully we'll get that in the next slide that pops up. But I don't want to take my eye off running the business.
Correct.
I don't want to be focused on just the tax implications of my business. I got to worry about who's supplying my products, who's making the products, how am I placing myself within the market. All these things that I'm worried about. The last thing I want to worry about is some of these other issues. But now we're supposed to worry about some of these issues when we're running our businesses.
Right. So that's where on and in is so important to understand. So, and the next slide you brought up is, okay, so the 42% right now, they're selling their business in a crisis, personal crisis. Could be family related, could be health related, could be whatever related, but it's a fire sale. Is
that different than it used to be?
I think it's most of the time it's always been this way. So and what the scary part is that when the IRS comes in and tells the family in an estate situation what that business is worth, and then they have to fire sale the business because they owe taxes. So again, it goes back to the taxation issue of why businesses have to sell it under value, because sometimes it's like, well, wait a minute, we can't afford the tax. We have to sell the business for less than what the estate value is. Otherwise, we're going to get this massive tax bill. We don't have the money for it. So that's where you come into problems with selling the business. So what we want to see more of is let's pre-plan that before we actually have the problem. So when you're getting into like my experience and expertise, I look at those things for a business owner to make sure that says, okay, well, let's take a look at what the future value of the business is and how that's going to impact your estate when you decide to sell. Because everything's property in law, right? Everything. Business is property, money is property, house is property, doesn't matter. It's all property and it's all counted together. So we want to avoid those things that cause problems for us in the future with taxation.
All right, well, we're digging pretty deep. We're going to take a quick break. You're watching or listening to Biz Pointz TV on the OBBM network. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
A polished look says a lot about you. In under 3 seconds, that first impression can open and close doors. Japrive has the brands you love to wear. Style & Company, Pistola, Aiden, Vince Camuto, and more. 165 labels with fit that flatters. Japrive.com. Japrive ships from Farmers Branch, Texas. Ask us about local DFW fashion shows that bring Japrive right to you. Upscale fashion doesn't have to be expensive, and you don't have to dig through racks of clothes that end up damaged and missing buttons from being tried on over and over and over again. Japrive.com is your answer to fine clothing in casual, career, and formal wear. Make a name for yourself. Do it in style. Japrive. Japrive.com. Name brand apparel without the department store prices. Business runs on technology, and human beings are creatures of habit. Unfortunately, not all our habits are good. Technology, when it works, is supposed to make our lives easier, creating routines that allow us to protect customer data, track our progress, forecast the future, communicate better, and move much faster. So, you need technology solutions that work when you're not working, or simply not paying attention. Smart technology solutions, making the complicated uncomplicated. Interested in starting a podcast or TV show? Worried about what you'll say and how to keep it engaging? Think you'd like to be a guest on podcast, radio, or TV shows? Hi, I'm Susan Hamilton, owner and founder of OBBM Network, and I would like to invite you to an OBBM media training to get the tools you need for a relaxed and polished performance we'll be proud to share. Our specialized training techniques include role play, voice training, and everything you need to deliver a confident, clear, and engaging interaction. Go to offbeatbusiness.com. Go to the calendar and register for a training that's convenient for you. Dates available now, 214-714-0495.
Hi, welcome back to Biz Pointz TV. Today we are having an in-depth discussion with Craig Cowles about, well, everything that you have to do about your business, from planning taxes to planning a future sale. And a lot of it is more complicated than we can ever imagine. But all these decisions that we make, whether you're planning on selling your business or not, are things that you need to think about very early on in your business, even at inception. It's how you structure a business, it's how you operate your business that'll actually make a difference to you, whether you're trying to make your business more efficient, more profitable, whatever that happens to be. The planning of that event in the future is crucial, and when you do it is also crucial. So, Craig, where we left off, you were kind of getting deep into taxes. Where do you want to take us next?
Well, I'll cover up the tax situation to clarify it. The big thing about taxes is knowing what the value of an estate is after an owner passes. The big thing I want to let people know is that value is going to be placed into the estate and valued by the IRS based on their standards.
So in our small business world,
correct.
I mean, most of our small businesses are small, and the valuation of their business might be under $10 million or whatever. Yeah. We get an exemption in the U.S. currently.
Correct. And those could change, though. The state tax laws
but
could change.
That falls under our estate law category.
Correct.
And we get an exemption up to $10 million. So if you're
but in certain states, they don't have the same exemptions.
Oh, I thought that was a federal.
The state there's different states, because we live in Texas. We don't see that, so we never consider it. You go to California, Michigan, Minnesota, they will have estate taxes.
State estate taxes.
And that will include the property of your business. So you have to be aware when you're planning wherever you're at. That's why I'm saying any time that you're planning for a sale or an exit or your leave your family with the inheritance of the business, it could cause estate problems. And getting the money for that becomes a problem. So that's just the only thing I want to cover on that, is that you got to work with a tax person on that piece of your estate to make sure that you don't, what I call, blow it up, because it will. Because even if the business is still running, it's still valued at that point and it still operates. The business doesn't quit. So that's the one thing that most business owners understand, or families don't understand. You inherit the business, guess what? The IRS may come knocking at your door in estate time for whoever the executor is and says, hey, you got to pay tax on that business. They say, yeah, but it's still running. Well, no, the property transferred. That triggers an event in tax code.
Interesting.
And I'm qualified to say that, by the way.
All right, so where are we now?
All right, let's talk about the owner's trap. The owner's trap is one of the most interesting things that owners need to be aware of. If you qualify in these 4 areas, it's a sign you're in the owner's trap, okay? The owner's trap is you're the primary salesperson. We call that the rainmaker's dilemma also, but that's the person who just sells and sells and sells, but they're the only person that can sell the business. If you feel like that, you're like, wait a minute, that's true of me. I'm the only person that sells what I do. I don't have a salesperson. That's one sign. Offers too many products or services. That's another one you're going to find. So in a technical business like computers, a guy who runs a computer business may have like, oh, I do PC repair, I do software stuff on your computer, I also run your network, and I also do that. So he does 4 different things, but they're all not congruent, and they all take a lot of effort in different areas. So that's what's called offer too much work, because I can service that, I can do that, that'll make me money too. So you start accumulating all these things, but you can never, it's the jack of all trades, master of none type deal. That's what that is. The other one is only the owner can deliver, okay? If you're the only one that can, I'm so specialized, that's kind of like the heart surgeon theory, where we talk about it's the heart surgeon who operates on a very specific pediatric defect at a hospital in town, and there's one guy that does it. That's the only owner can deliver it, because it's highly specialized. The last one is owner interfaces with the customer. If you're always answering the phone and you give the customers your cell phone number and you're constantly answering it, that's another sign you're in the owner's trap. That's very bad for valuing or marketing your business for sale.
Okay, you just described every small business in America,
right?
Because all of them start with a centralized entrepreneur who's got the vision to drive the company.
Correct.
And he's wearing every hat there is, right? And suddenly you realize you're wearing more hats than a circus act, and all these things depend on you, right?
Correct.
And you are the lead sales guy, and you are the face of the company. You're glad handing and all these things. Part of the effort of what we were going to talk about is we've been outlining some issues and some problems, so now we're changing gears, and we're going to talk about maybe some solutions to these problems. And the big solution is to build a company that you don't have to take as big a part in. Is that kind of the biggest solution?
So here's what you need to take a look at. First off, know that you want to take it from a point of working on your business. Go back to Michael Gerber's E-Myth, and if you haven't read the book, it's a great book to read. So number one book I would recommend out there. Second thing is work with somebody who can help you objectively, that you trust, that you can objectively look at your business and help you understand from the outside in how the business looks. You don't want to be losing money unknowingly and unnecessarily in your business. So that requires a specialized set of eyes to say, and it's maybe someone who's experienced in business, a friend who ran a business and sold it. It's always a good source, Those are great people to rely on just to have an objective opinion. Be part of a conclave, find a mastermind group of business owners that can help with a moderator who understands business, another good way.
We're a big proponent. I mean, I say it all the time. You got to hire outside people to help you analyze your business. You can't do that. A common phrase I heard was, you can't see the label from the inside of the jar, right?
I agree with that.
You got to be outside.
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah, to see it, right? And that's very true. No matter how big your business is or how small your business is, it's tough to evaluate it when you're inside that jar.
Right.
You got to have somebody else taking a look at it.
Here's another thing we discovered that you can do. First off, look at your own personal vision of what you want in your life and how your business is going to support it. Think of the business as the method that is going to give you what you want, right? A lot of people don't even take a look at that. In fact, a lot of the problem with companies we find are their vision and mission statements aren't clear. And a lot of business owners say, I just don't write those vision and mission statements because, they're so convoluted, they're so woo-woo, or whatever they might say. And I said, but you fail to understand the purpose of them. If you have a business unit and you have people you're going to work with or hire or talent, the purpose of the vision and mission statement is to help them make decisions without you. That's the main purpose of it. People forget and don't see that. So if you want to fix your business, get your vision, mission, values down, commit them to your business on the operational environment. That way, and you teach them to your team, so unequivocally they can make decisions without coming to you all the time or texting you or whatever. That's one of the most important things you find, that increases your value right off the bat. So in fact, I think this is a good example of that, the personal and social life of how many hours you work. If you find yourself, most business owners in the 60-plus hour segment is 12%, but if you look at the bottom graphic, it says nearly 75% of owners work 40-plus hours.
Now you're talking. That's where they are, right?
The main reason for that is because, again, they're stuck in the owner's trap. They're doing all the decision-making. They're doing all the work. They're not willing to hire it out because I'm the only one who can do that. I've hired people before, and they've messed it up. So I'm the one who's going to have to fix it, right? And they don't trust anybody else to do it. Well, that's because their vision and mission, values, and purpose are all not clear. So once you get that clear, and you can communicate that to your team, and then you have a structured team meeting and operation and good communications, everything fixes itself. And people don't believe it. I run businesses, I have 3 of them now. But I can tell you right now that by doing that, it's so much easier to empower my team to do the work.
We're going to take another quick break and then continue our conversation with Craig Cowles. We'll be back in just a minute.
What does it mean to devote your life to the truth? Does it mean investigating communist subversion here in America? Does it mean exposing the deadly fentanyl crisis in the Midwest? We're spending late nights and covering deep government corruption. Does it mean persevering over 20 years, even after 4 masked men set one of our printing presses on fire last year? Because at a time when America's traditional values are under attack, it's the responsibility of righteous journalists to uphold truth and tradition.
Business runs on technology, and human beings are creatures of habit. Unfortunately, not all our habits are good. Technology, when it works, is supposed to make our lives easier, creating routines that allow us to protect customer data, track our progress, forecast the future, communicate better, and move much faster. So, you need technology solutions that work when you're not working. or simply not paying attention. Smart Technology Solutions, making the complicated uncomplicated. The OBBM Network is the premier voice for local business, and we take that responsibility seriously. The OBBM Network has everything you need to grow and transition your business for success on popular syndicated podcast networks, Roku and other video channels, and the OBBM Network app. We work for you, local business, and we've got your back.
Hi, and welcome back to Biz Pointz TV. Today we're talking with Craig Cowles about how you can make your business better. We've had a pretty in-depth conversation. We're going to try and wrap this up today, but I always try and leave our audience with a point. Craig, is what's a walkaway point? But to me, the walkaway point today is getting back to that, creating a business that operates as much without you as it possibly can be.
That's right.
And in order to do that, you've got to bring people into your organization that understand your vision and your mission statement for your business, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the number one thing you got to focus on is just make sure you communicate that and help people make decisions based on that vision, purpose, and mission. How do you do that? You got to be engrossed in it. Make sure that you got to be empathetic with people. You got to be authentic. I think authenticity for many business owners is one of the most key points in communicating that. Empowerment is another one you've got to work with them on. It's okay, to make decisions, and if they've got trauma from a previous job where anytime they made a bad decision, they got chastised for it. It's a bad way to treat an employee. Mistakes can always be rectified. So that's one of the key things that I do. The second thing that you need to be looking at is focus on the areas of your business. Now, there's 8 drivers to your business, and each one of those drivers drives the value of your business. If you focus on the things, and I think I brought up this graphic here, the 4 areas what are the biggest areas that can lead to the improved functionality and value of your business and happiness? One of the questions we ask in our surveys is, if you can't take 3 months off.
You and I were laughing about that in the break. I was laughing about it. 3
months. And I know a guy that does it. Every summer he's got his business. He takes 3 months off. You can't communicate with him at all. That's his purpose. Your structure of your business is most important. Your employees' well-being, your involvement after exit, and your personal financial goals will help you drive your direction to a business value that you want, and help drive a lifestyle that you want while you're working in your business, on your business, and after your business. Those are the key things that we found. And there's a very substantial, it's like 36% increase in value if you just work on small things. 36%. Because the people that come in and look at you say, this is where I want to work too. It's one of those.
That's huge. That's huge. Whether it's going in your pocket, right, as
exactly.
the owner, or if it's going back into your business to help your business get more resources or more market share, or whatever that happens to be, or splitting it between the two, or however you're going to do that. But huge gains in your business in the revenue of your business is huge. And obviously there's a couple of ways to grow a business, right, or to make more money as a business owner. You're either growing your sales revenue or you're cutting on your expenses. That's the old 2 points. So you want to do a little bit of both. Obviously, you want to try and continue to grow your business. Someone asked me, when do I need to hire these people? How soon in the business do I need to? And my answer is always as soon as it's possible for you. I mean, you just want to continually grow that side of your business as most that you can. Because again, I was laughing about the 3 months. Right. My gosh, a small business owner can't even take a week's vacation without strapping his phone to himself.
No, if you want, should I do my shameless plug on this right now? Okay. So the shameless plug is, like last year, I had a business coach last year for the entire year for 12 months. And every month we met, we went through their process because I believe in that. And I believe in having my own coach for helping run my business, and it works because they help you see things that you don't see. So what can you do? Well, our firm, Entrecraft, is ENTRECRAFT, says the art of business because a business is an art form, it's not a science. So if you go to entrecraft.net on the homepage, there's 3 questionnaires you can take. One is about Get My Business Score, which compares you against other businesses. The second one is about what we call the pre-score, which says it's called personal readiness to exit. Are you even ready to leave your business? It could be within 5 years or beyond. The last one's called the freedom point. So the last one talks about, well, what do you want your business to build for you for your lifetime? All 3 are free. You take them, you get a really good evaluation of where you are in your life with your business, And all you have to do is go to the home page. There's 3 buttons sitting right there above the fold, as we call it, right below the picture, and give yourself some time.
Okay, and for our podcast listeners, tell them the website one more time.
Entrecraft, ENTRECRAFT.net.
Okay. And I noticed when you go to the website, it's building a business that
operates by itself.
Operates by itself without you. Whether you are a single entrepreneur, whether you own a company that has multiple employees, no matter what that is, you've got to plan. There is no third or second word. You just have to keep planning for the future. You've got to make sure your business is ready and able to work without you. You've been watching or listening to Biz Pointz TV today on the OBBM network. We've recorded the show with a live audience right here at the Grace Point Media Studio. You'll find Craig's contact information and the show notes of this episode. You'll find also more links to other episodes of Biz Pointz and other great OBBM shows. You can find us on Rumble, Spotify, CloudHab, any platform that you decide, and whether you're at home, your office, or your car, you're always just a click away from another great program from OBBM. Thank you for watching today. Enjoy the episode, and we'll talk to you next time.
To be a guest or request sponsorship information, contact the Court Camp Group at 972-824-8001 today. Production and programming information requests for the OBBM network should be directed to Offbeat Business Media by calling 214-714-0495 or send your request to info@offbeatbusiness.com. Biz Pointz TV, podcast, and radio show are produced by Offbeat Business Media for the OBBM network. Unauthorized use of logos, audio, video, or reproduction is strictly prohibited.